I'm with Dave Miller, head coach of the Fairmont Firebirds varsity football team. Coach, week 8.
Yep.
Kind of running quickly to the end of the season here.
Definitely.
Let's talk a little bit about the Miamisburg game. This was a physical game with several players shaken up. What injuries resulted from this game that might keep them out this week or longer?
I don't. It's kind of still hard to tell. We have some guys banged up for sure. It was definitely physical. So we don't know. I don't think there's anybody off the top of my head that we've lost for sure. But we had a lot of bumps and bruises here at the beginning of the week. So it's something we're gonna have to manage. And most of the guys are battling through it. But like you said, it was a pretty physical contest. So kind of what you get week 7 or 8 of the season. So not really surprising from that standpoint.
At the end of the half, with the score tied at 7, the Miamisburg field goal was blocked. What did you see on that play that resulted in the block that led to your own field goal run, or I should say a run for a field goal? Almost made it all the way, but then you converted the field goal.
Yeah. Well, we've done a pretty good job of that the last 2 years, really. Cameron Payne has blocked now 5 field goals, 4 last year, and got that one the other night or over there at Miamisburg. But he does a good job coming off the edge, and we have some other guys inside that are pretty selfless doing their jobs too to help him get off the edge. And our guys are used to that. So I think they responded pretty well once the ball was blocked. We didn't just stand around. They immediately, Max Conlon was right there, had the ball, and took off running. And he's not necessarily the fastest guy in the world. And I think actually less than being fast because he doesn't move badly. But at the end of that, I think he was pretty exhausted. They had a pretty big drive there, so our guys are pretty tired out anyway. But we almost got it and got a horse collar call there. So half came in on a defensive penalty, so we end up getting a chance to get the field goal. It was pretty timely. So
your running game was held to just over 100 yards. What did Miami do in that case?
Well, our first drive was phenomenal. We came out, did everything we wanted to do, and went down, and it was an 80-yard drive. So that was the best of the night. I don't know. It's one of those that, as a coach, you look back and I think I went away from some things that I shouldn't have, but the game starts to change and complexity, and they did a good. I'm not taking anything away from them. They did a really good job, but I think we went away from some things that worked. Number one, and then they did a good job. They had a good defensive game plan against us and made us work. But the way we're built, and we talked to our kids, Saturday and Monday. We're not going to be flashy. The stats are not going to be off the charts. You have a 80-yard drive, that takes up an entire quarter. It's really hard to do that. So, the yardage doesn't bother me. It's more, the fact that we put our defense in a really tough spot. We had a fumble immediately after, that long drive we had, and then we go 3 and out a few times. That puts our defense in a really difficult position. Short fields they have to deal with, and that's not the way we're built. That's not Fairmont football. I think that the first quarter we were doing what we do. I think we got a little greedy on the onside kick. We probably shouldn't have done that. Just kick it deep, make them drive the field. But it was there. And we took a shot at it, and we'll just have to execute better next time we do it. But it's just the dynamics of the game and what we do. And when we're doing it right, it's pretty hard to stop. And when we're not, I don't know what else we could really do, honestly. But we threw the ball at the end of the. I'm sure that's going to come up too. But we threw the ball at the end of the game. I mean, our whole thing is you look at that Northmont game, and we're within 2 scores. Going into the fourth quarter, we got behind 3 scores. That's hard for us to try to come back from that. So. You can sit there and say, let's throw it all over the place. We did try to do that against Trotwood, by the way, and that didn't work out very well. But so anyway, we got to get better. I mean, that's really the bottom line with all of it. But so do more like what we did on the first drive.
Let's see. Barr threw 200 yards and was sacked 4 times. How did you feel about the defense against him?
We came into this talking about him, and I think he was 19 out of 21. We did sack him a couple times, and that early on, especially, that was big. But like I said last week at this time, that kid's a competitor, and just watching him from an outside perspective, not having to go against him, it's fun to watch, because he got sacked, but he just kept coming, and he wore our defense out. I mean, him scrambling around like that, forcing our guys to go after him, and just as accurate as he was in those situations, that's what do you do? That's a really good football player that had a really good game, and we did some good things too. Just they did more. So,
how do you feel about the passing game with 12 attempts by Brock Baker?
It's there if we need it. We also threw a pick six that fortunately got called back. We're down on the goal line, so it's like I'll still maintain this. It's like four things can happen when you throw the ball, and three of them are bad. But Brock's a good thrower, and we know we've got that. We work really hard on our passing game. So when it presents itself, we're going to take advantage of it. And, we got in the situation at the end of the game there where we had to throw, and we can do it. That was something that came out of the game. It's like, again, you go back to Northmont, and we're down 2 scores with in the fourth quarter. We get that to overtime. All the momentum's on our side, and we threw the ball fairly well then too. So it's you got to go in with a plan, and this is our plan. This is our philosophy, and we just got to make sure our guys are and I think they are. They get what we're about. So. But yeah, we can throw it if we need to. I've said that all along, and Brock did a good job. Our receivers, did a good job getting open and making some plays there. So, and if we don't throw a pick six down there, I think we're on the 5-yard line. We score there, that gets interesting. We scored again with 1:55 to go, and we have a good kicker. So who knows? But it's what's fun. It really it is. I look at it as, this was it was a tough loss. Really, hats off to Miamisburg. They did. Coach Schneider and his staff did a great job, and good for them. I texted him back and forth this weekend just for different things, but the thing he said is our conference is incredible, and I agree 100%. This is a great conference to be in. Your kids have to come play every week, and win or lose, you got to bring your best effort, and sometimes things aren't going to go your way.
So far, I've talked to 9 or 10 coaches from the GWalk, and they all say the same thing.
I told somebody this the other day too. It's like I was coaching up at Covington for 9 years, and I loved it up there. It was great. We knew there was maybe 2 games on our schedule that were going to be really hard, and we tried to schedule things because it's just the nature of the beast. I was always envious of the MAC, because they play playoff games every weekend, and it's kind of be careful what you wish for, because that's what we're involved in here. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's the way it's supposed to be. So it's really cool. I'm glad I'm a part of it.
All right, and we're going to digress just a bit. We want to talk about the JV team.
Okay.
And we haven't had the chance to bring them up this year.
Yeah.
I don't know who the head coach is. You can invite
Josh
us.
Freese.
Josh
Yeah,
Freese.
he's our head coach.
And what role do you play in development and evaluation of the team?
Oh, I'm constantly watching them. I mean, when they're at home, I'm right there. We were in film until about halfway through the JV game, but I went back and I watched the film, and our varsity coach, it's kind of a unique situation here. Our varsity coaches are coaching not only the JVs but also our freshmen. They go right with us, and then they have the chance to go kind of my small school mixed with big school. Advantages, I guess. We always had the freshmen with us. I was at Covington and Twin Valley South. But they couldn't play freshman football, so we kind of have the best of all worlds here, where they're with us, but they also get to play a freshman schedule most of the year. This week it's a combined force, but mostly they get a freshman schedule. So I pay a lot of attention to what those guys are doing, and what they did Saturday was pretty impressive. It's they definitely, we talk about Friday nights. It's like you guys are up next, and you get a chance to kind of get that bad taste out of your mouth. And they went out there and they played, our freshmen and JVs both played a really physical 2 games on Saturday too, and we came out ahead on both outcomes, so that was kind of cool. But I just loved how they competed. I mean, they did a great job. So.
All right, and I don't know if you have anybody on top of your head, some players who you've been impressed with so far on the offense and defense.
Just in general? Are you
Yeah,
talking
in
JV?
JV.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this past couple weeks, Dustin Bruins, junior, who came back to us this year, was a linebacker. He's now playing some D-line. He looked really impressive, so much so that, we'll see if he's got to get more consistent with his, practice and some things like that. But he may get some, shots there on Friday night possibly, but we're a little nicked up, so it kind of presents itself sometimes. But Jack Probasco, he had a really good, had a pick six, in the JV game, and was flying around all over the place. I think really a couple weeks in a row, he's done a good job. Our quarterback JJ Hill, he's kind of carried the load for us there. Tyrell Lake is a fullback. I could name several. It's kind of fun to just watch these guys, and our offensive line. We got some young guys in there. Gwiz is a sophomore, Luke Young, and some older guys that are with them. But it's just fun watching those guys. They work really hard, and they make us better. Our scout team this year has been phenomenal, and most of those guys are playing scout team during the week, so they get their reward on Saturday and do a great job. So.
Okay, now we're going to move on to Wayne. Another prolific passing attack. Lewis has thrown for 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns. Yeah. You faced Kortner and Barr. How similar or dissimilar is Lewis to them?
I think, GWAC quarterbacks, I guess, including our own. He's playing in a system that doesn't necessarily feature what he does well, but Lewis is another one. He's a 3-year starter. I mean, just poised. The type of guy you want as your field general there, and elusive. They always seem to find that guy as a freshman. They start building him, and by the time they're juniors and seniors, they're really good. So it's the GWAC, and I'm laughing because you got to strap it up each week, and we know what we're getting there. And he's got a host around him. That's the beauty of their offense. They can do so many things to hurt you. They can run the ball well, including him. They throw. I mean, he's thrown for tons of yardage, but they can run the ball. So it's a huge task. We're gonna have to do what we do, and do it better. We have to get more sustained drives and keep their offense off the field. That's why we do what we do. We're not a spread team. We're not built like one. Right or wrong, that's what we know, and I think it's a philosophy that works. But we just got to execute better, on both sides, and try to slow him down, and the rest of his company there with him. But so should be fun.
Okay, Wayne has 5 kickoff returns for touchdowns. This is where we talked maybe about the squib kick earlier. Will that be in order for this game?
Keep it away from those guys because they are good, and it's like the last 2 weeks. They've returned 2 of them, so they're prolific. I mean, it's just all over the place. They have athletes, and they're well coached too. That kickoff return team is really good. So we're going to do some things. Max does a good job. He's very coachable, and Coach Gantz does a great job with our special teams period. But we're going to do our best to keep that out of those guys' hands. So you can believe me, that was the first thing we talked about on Sunday. Is we're not. And I'll fill in the blank later. But so anyway, tough task.
All right. And finally, what are your thoughts on their defense? They are last in the conference in rushing defense and allow 179 yards per game on the ground.
You got to look at them, and they're just they're athletic guys. They're built for the spread. So in that case, they do a really good job against passing teams. They have 2 solid pass rushers coming off the edge. Hammond, is I think a 3-year starter now, but they can quickly flip the switch and convert to what we do because we're pretty. I'm not going to say we're one-dimensional, but we try to be. And if we have to throw the ball, we will. But that's a tall task because they're good at defending the pass, and I think they're deceptively good at. Even though the stats may say that, the stats lie. They're deceptively good at defending the run too. I mean, they have some big-bodied people in there that are. Good at what they do. So their backers run to the ball well, and their secondary fills, and they do a good job against us. So we'll have our task set out for us there too. So
okay, now we're off the page on this one.
All right.
Senior night, last home game.
Yeah.
How many senior players are you going to be losing?
21. Yeah, it's another class. We had 21 last year, 21 this year, and it's a love-hate relationship with that. I love the fact that these guys have been in our program, some of them, for 4 years plus, going back to middle school, and you say goodbye to them, and it's great to see the maturity, from start to finish. But then we have some newcomers, like Barnhill and Seton, that came back to us this year, and just at the end of the day, it's a bittersweet moment. I always tell them it's like, I love it, but I also hate it because, I hate saying goodbye to those guys. And hopefully it's not the last home game. I mean, if we can do what we need to do, then we can maybe earn another one, like we did last year. That was kind of cool. But they know, and it's pretty special playing out here at Roush Stadium. So
better playing here than in Toledo, right?
For sure. We've said that. We don't necessarily want to go to Perrysburg again. We've had kind of a split result up there, and that's a 3-hour road trip. So, yeah, us being able to stay home as long as we can would be really cool. But most importantly, just focused on this game and our process again to be able to get us there and beyond. So, but great group of kids. They've really – I could go into – I'm not going to, but go into a lot of detail of what they've been through, as a class. If you go all the way back to middle school, and they were the COVID class as freshmen, and that experience I never want to go through again, for lots of reasons. But they got cheated. Really, we couldn't do much with them when they were freshmen. And I remember their first game, we played Centerville over there and just got destroyed. It was so they've come a long way. That's the good thing. They've righted some of the issues that they've had to go through, and we've lost some people along the way. They've ended up in other places, and they're aware of that too. So, but a great group. We're going to miss them. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for the time to speaking with me today, and have a good night on Friday night and senior night.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Norm.
I am with Roosevelt Mukes. He's the head varsity coach for the Wayne Warriors. And, Coach, first of all, I'd like to review the 26-24 loss to Northmont. What allowed Northmont to come from behind to edge out your team?
We just didn't take advantage of our opportunities, and they took advantage of theirs.
All right. It's the fourth year at quarterback for Tyrell Lewis, still only a junior. How has he improved since his freshman and sophomore seasons?
Just taking command of the offense and just leading his team. So he's grown by leaps and bounds doing that.
He does have 9 interceptions. What can you work on in practice to limit those going forward?
The same things we've been working on, just continuing to get better each and every day. Not just him, but the whole team. Each position just trying to do their job to the best of their abilities.
Jamari Alvarez Brown, hopefully I said his name correctly. Jameer? Okay. Jameer Alvarez Brown is one of the top receivers in the GWAC. He's only a freshman. What are his skills that have him on a varsity roster as a top contributor?
Just tribute to his coaches, just working with him. And he's been blessed with some abilities that few people have as a freshman. So he's grown by leaps and bounds, but the great thing is he has a long way to go. So we just continue to work with him and hopefully just getting better.
And good for you, he's only a freshman.
Yeah, that's a blessing, definitely.
Okay, let's look at Fairmont, a run-oriented team. How experienced is your defensive front to go up against the Firebirds?
It's the G-Walk, so every week you have to be ready, for a tough opponent. It's going to be a physical game. Coach Miller and his staff do a great job with their kids, so we have to be ready to come compete and just try to do our job to the best of our abilities.
Going back to the Springfield game, it's a crazy ending. What's going through your mind when Springfield takes the lead, then only to see a long kickoff return touchdown win for you?
Honestly, just our kids competing to the end, to their zeros on the clock, so that's a tribute to them. But that game was a long time ago. We're worried about Fairmont right now. So.
All right. And let's talk a little bit. We're kind of into the season now. Are there any key injuries that you've had this year that may affect the game?
If there was, I wouldn't tell you.
Well, let's put it this way. Everybody's a little bit banged up at this time of year. I guess you guys are probably no different.
No, absolutely. I told our kids the last time you was going to be 100% was July 31st. You know, that was the first day of two-a-days. So you chose to play a sport that's going to, you know, test you mentally and physically. So you just have to continue to do the things that you can to take care of your body, you know, and then also take care of your mind. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me again this year, and hopefully we'll speak again next year. So, thanks for taking the time to speak with me.
No problem. Thank you.